Catholic Church today, the reading, the gospel reading was Matthew 22:36-40. A Pharisee who was a scholar wanted to test Jesus, and he said, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment of the law?" And Jesus said, "Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. For these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." And I'm here because you are my neighbor.
Amen.
We are all neighbors to each other. And I thank you so much for having me here. I'm here because I want to live in the gospel, but I'm here to remind you that God does answer prayers. Have no doubt, God answers prayers. Miracles and signs and wonders occur around us daily, but we often don't look. We don't see them, and sometimes it's because they're around us all the time that we don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
In John 20:29, Jesus said to St. Thomas, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and have yet believed." My daughter Emily and my son Joshua bought me a new iPhone 7. And Emily said, "Mom, aren't you excited that you have this new phone?" And I looked at her and I said, "A new phone?" I said, "Emily, you know what makes me really excited? The fact that I will wake up every morning." So when you were saying wake up, yes, what a miracle that we wake up every morning. And that is such a blessing because it gives us another day to serve God. Well, I'm 72, and so every day that I wake up is a gift and a miracle. In fact, as I said, when we all wake up, it's a miracle. And some have said that miracles are for the unbelievers, but God in His goodness still allows miracles because they point to Him. And before I go on any further, I wanted to give a little bit of background information. I am the mother of 9 children, and I founded Madonna House through my children. I have 2 natural-born children, and I adopted 7 children. I adopted children that others would not adopt. I recognized the great beauty in each child that was presented to me because I knew then, and even greater now, that every person is made in the image and likeness of Almighty God. Every person that ever was or is created by God through the cooperation of a man and a woman. Even though a child that was created may not be wanted by someone, a human, God wanted that person and allowed that person to be created. I can pass it around, but this is a picture of all mine, not all, but most of my beautiful children. And I just want to read a little poem I wrote, after I read my poem. I wrote a poem about my children some time back. I like to write a little bit. And this is the title of my poem, My Little Garden. I have a little garden. It's my favorite place to go. Each flower is such a treasure for all the world to know. In my beloved garden, I plant, prune, snip, and sow. It's not so much how things are planted, but much more how they grow. My little garden is my children. I see each hue and rhyme, and in my lovely garden, I never count the time. The garden of my children is a treasure truly rare. Ever enjoy, even in sorrow, a love beyond compare. So you can pass it.
Beautiful.
That's most of my children. So I'll just give a brief summary of my children, and then later on, if you there's miracles involved in some of them, and if we have time, if you want me to tell you, I will. The first child I adopted, John Thomas, was from Mexico, and that was with the help of a Roman Catholic priest. My son was one of 13 children, and half his brothers and sisters had died from either starvation or sanitary conditions. He was the first miracle. My second child, Sarah, she's biracial, and we saved her from being aborted. My third son, Joshua, my third adopted child, Joshua, he's triracial. He's part African American, Native American, and white, and he was a failure to thrive baby. He was literally dying when I got him. My Emily, she's African American. Zachary, he's African American, and he's the result of a rape. Rebecca, she's African American, and she's also the result of a rape. And my youngest, Samuel, is from Haiti, and I got him with the help of a medical doctor. And Sam is extremely disabled. My first son that I adopted, John Thomas, he passed away 12 years ago. He died. He drowned in a swimming accident. And my daughter, Sarah, she helps me in the thrift store and around Madonna House. We have a big Christmas program, and she's very involved in that. My son, Joshua, who was the failure to thrive baby, he is now assistant principal in a school in Minnesota. He's married and has 2 little girls. My daughter, Emily, she's in the Navy. She's in the U.S. Navy, and she watches over me. She calls me all the time and wants to know what I'm doing. she checks up on me on FaceTime. Zachary, he's autistic. He's 22, but that boy can sing and dance like no one you've ever seen. So very proud of him. In fact, he won the Governor's Award for dance in 2015. And my daughter, Rebecca, she is extremely smart. She's 19, she's a sophomore at Brookdale. She's had 4 years of Latin, 3 years of Spanish. She went to France this summer to study French. She's teaching herself Korean. So she's just really, she wants to be an interpreter for the government someday, but she also wants to teach French. So she's very, very busy. She's on the dean's list. And my little Sammy, he's very disabled, but he's a miracle. He is a miracle. He died on the way over from Haiti with Dr. Carol. He died on the plane, and Dr. Carol, through God, brought him back to life. So Sam is amazing, the things that we never thought he could do. We never thought he would walk, and he runs. We never thought he would talk, and he does have speech, and he understands a lot more than he can say. He only has half a brain. He only has the right hemisphere of his brain. The left is disintegrated. He has water in the brain. He has seizures all the time, but he is a living miracle, and I'm so proud of Sam. I founded Madonna House in Neptune in 1987. When I adopted my son, John Thomas, from Mexico, their living conditions were so extremely poor, nothing like we see around here. And his mother lived in the city dump. The city dump was bigger than the size of Neptune. And the whole place, Juarez, they would go there and they would dump. And the mountains were so high of the dump. There were mountains and mountains and mountains of garbage. They were so high, people were born there, they lived there and died there, and never even knew who was on the other side of the mountain. It was so impoverished, it was just impossible to realize that something like that actually existed. If they had a broken cup or a broken plate, they treasured it because that's all they had. So when I went down there, and it's a miracle story how we got him into the United States. That's a miracle story. When I came home, I thought, we have so much here that we just throw out, that we take for granted. I mean, if I'm hungry, I can open up my refrigerator. I have electricity. I have running water, something they never even had. So I thought, dear Lord, what can I do? What do you want me to do? You've allowed me to experience such extreme suffering of individuals. What can I do? So at the time, I lived in Neptune City. And when we bought our house, there was a building right beside the house. And at one time, years and years ago, it had been like the little corner grocery store. Well, it wasn't a corner, but it was like the little grocery store. The kids would go there before they go over to Wilson School, and they had, they sold cold cuts and things like that. But then it had been closed down for a long time, and when we bought the property, we were told, well, you can never open that store again because now the zoning is all changed, and now it's just residential. So I kept praying, Lord, what do you want me to do? So after the Mexico experience, and I had my baby, I kept praying to Lord, how can I serve you? And